What everyday skill becomes suspicious if you're too good at it? Walking quietly. Noticing cameras. Fabricating stories. Remembering someone else's schedule. Cleaning liquid spills. If Junior knocks over their glass or the cat gets too close and personal with the fish tank. Moat people just tend to throw a bathroom towel over it or get out the wetback. Not super effective and tends to allow time for staining. Some salt, aerosolized carpet foam, and some paper towels will clean up anything like it was never there and in record speed. And all for the low price of making people uncomfortable as they imagine you as a mob cleaner. For extra points, using this method to clean blood out of carpets or off cheap porous tile equals people's faces are funny as frock. Edit. Thanks for the awards. Consider my disposals at your disposal. But don't get used to it. I ain't running. No charity here. There was a restaurant in a Hyatt hotel that had a casino. The waiter from that restaurant remembered our preference when we showed up with a friend 6 months later. Remembering things about people. I've lied about not knowing things to not seem like a creep. Counting bills quickly. Learned when in Uzbekistan, a place where the highest denomination was 1,000 but a meal at a restaurant cost 20 to 30k. Being unbothered by blood and guts. I'm a veterinarian. I've spent days up to my elbows in all manner of bodies and parts and fluids. I can watch surgery or necropsy videos over lunch. I did an eye surgery on Tuesday and somebody had to catch the new kid. The big ones aren't allowed to get faint. It's very inconvenient. Related aside, when the nice young lady at the bank says, "Oh my God, there's blood on your shirt," assuring her that it isn't your own in fact offers no reassurance. Walking with minimal sound. Getting kids to trust me within seconds of meeting me. Ped nurse. Strep throat tests. Used to get strep a lot as a kid, so by the time I was tested for it as a 20-year-old I had the process down. They stick in the big popsicle stick to hold down your tongue and then they swab the back of your throat while you try not to gag. Well, I happened to be tested by a relatively new, young, attractive doctor this particular time, and when he complimented me on doing well on the test and not gagging, my response was, "Thanks, I've had practice." If not suspicious, it was at the very least mortifying after realizing the implication of what I said. I have a friend who could memorize numbers, especially plates of vehicles. He'd then be able to recall it after months in totally random conversations. Edit. Never thought this would blow up like this. Many people asked how we'd know he wasn't bluffing. Here is the thing. I know this guy from college. You can imagine how all of us would have gone to lengths to verify such things. Also, it works out to be useful in many situations, and he'd buy somewhat of a personal Google for a few of us. Like, "Hey, I can't seem to remember this guy's number. Do you remember?" Spatial awareness. I can look at something and tell you whether or not it will fit onto a wall, into a box or car, through a hallway or stairwell, etc. I was at a shipping store a few months ago and a guy was in line behind me trying to figure out which size box to get for the box he was trying to fit into it. I pointed at a specific size and said, "That one, but only if you put your box in this side up." It slid in perfectly and he gave me the weirdest look. Somehow though, I always seem to bump into the corners of tables. Being able to recognize pills. No, I'm not a drug dealer. I just work in a pharmacy and some of them are very recognizable. I will remember your car and every detail about it before I can remember your name. In my line of work, sales, there is a method called mirroring, where you try to mimic the customer's tone and energy to be more relatable. I've spent many years trying to read people and am introverted as it gets, so I like to think I do this very well, with my fellow men being the easiest to read. Well, my employer noticed this and refers to it as an advanced sales tactic. They pulled me into a Zoom with other employees who suck at closing sales and had me try to teach it to them. Avoiding people. Everyone assumes I'm up to something because I spend so much time alone and out of sight. Knowing a friend's schedule, especially for close friends. I've remembered their schedules just from them randomly bringing up what classes they have in conversations. When you instinctively go to private speech on your phone. Moving through unreasonably tight and cluttered spaces normally. My friends and I used to hang out at an extremely cluttered warehouse that belonged to a hoarder friend. It was full to the point where moving at all without getting stuck on something or causing a garbage avalanche was difficult. And there I was just gliding through hills of hoarded garbage like some kind of ghost. They told me it was creepy. Staying calm. Remembering oddly specific details about someone's past. I have a friend who just knows random stuff. Like he is damn near lawyer level of proficient with things like legal procedure. Technical knowledge to include how to bypass code locks. Is really smart on finance and how to take advantage of situations. All sorts of stuff. He's not a spy or criminal. He just loves to Google this stuff and will read for hours on end about it. But to those who don't know him, he's suspect. Recognizing sounds. I've knowledge of everything happening around me through sounds. Remembering things about them they forgot. I told my friend I was getting a job at a store we know. She told me, I think I've been there before. Then I told she has and I repeated the conversation we had. Word for word. I got some weird looks from her lol. Telling almost instantly by feel if a bill is real or counterfeit, though I think more people should definitely be able to do it. Lower denomination US counterfeit bills can look amazing, but the feel is always off. People that are able to drastically change their personality, or the way they talk and act when around different groups of people or someone else arrives. Being able to quickly convert between ounce and gram. Shuffling cards. Googling. Oddly, people find it unsettling how quickly I can learn shit that untrained people aren't supposed to know. All I did was Google search till I found the info and then gave it a try. I've forgotten my apartment key to the point that I can pick my own lock. People find that suspicious. Hiding things. Edit. Well, I meant keeping secrets just as much as I meant physically hiding things. Memory. Especially their personal details. People have shit memory apparently. Lying. And not like the everyday white lies like, how are you? I'm okay. No. I mean the Kaiser Soze kind of lying. This is literally how the series Psych starts. The main character, Sean Spencer, is too good at being observant, and because he kept sending tips to the local police, they called him in for questioning because they thought he might be involved in all those crimes. So he has to pretend to be a psychic. Edit. Now 2 of my most upvoted comments are psych related, which is great because it's my favorite show. But don't waste money on me guys. Lock picking. My friend got locked out so I grabbed the bobby pins out my hair and started picking. He thought I was a criminal. It was a master lock. Cleaning out stains. I cut my hand pretty badly once and blood got into my white shirt. I tried to clean it myself but the stain never got out. I told my mom who told me to bring it with me when I came back for Christmas break and she cleaned it. By the way, she didn't even bleach it. Her ability to clean stains so well has since then been suspicious to me. Being happy. Everyone always thinks I am high. I mean I am high but I am happy for other reasons too. Navigating government bureaucracy. Finding a lot of information about someone online given a small amount of information about said person to go off of. Looking left then right then left then right without turning your head. Tying knots. We play this drinking game where you take the paper bag from the store, put it on the floor standing up, and you have to bend down on one foot and grab it with your teeth. Each round, you trim a few centimeters off the top and keep lowering the bag until there's a winner. One of my very unathletic friends at the time would easily win every round. It would just be him and he was flexible enough to get the bag only 6 off the ground. People were super impressed and I joked, it's all that practice from sucking your own dick, and the look he gave me, combined with the awkward laugh, made me think I might have been closer to the truth than I would have hoped. Being a good listener. People assume you're a stalker. Breaking into someone's car. A few years ago I was at a new job and a coworker locked her keys in her car. I got the door open in under a minute. The security guard watched me and had some concerns with the speed at which I opened that car without damaging it. Truth of the matter is that the guard wasn't paying attention completely to what I was doing. My first car was a 2-door sports car and I learned about a design flaw with those cars when my dumbass locked my keys in the ignition. She had a similar car and her keys in the ignition, so I took advantage of that design flaw to get her door open without damage to the car. Anything with a computer. If you're good enough with literally anything to do with computers, people will think you're able to hack computers. They'll also think you're able to fix any problem with their computers, which is equally detrimental on its own. Knife sharpening. Remembering things for other people. I pick up random things in conversations, not necessarily in a conversation with me. I like to listen. I'll wish you good luck on that special thing tomorrow. I'll tell you happy birthday. I'll tell you not to forget something. It has saved myself and people around me from getting into city situations. Imagine a guy at work who tells you not to forget your wife's birthday next week. Yeah, I'm that guy. ADD has staffed me to remember the things I pay attention to. Guessing passwords. I had video games addiction during young age. My parents changed the PW once a week because I kept guessing it. When they say a word in weird way, paying close attention to their facial expression, listening to their tapping sound, the state the keyboard is in are things that helped me. But the key is to know how the person thinks. I'm also able to remember most passwords that I have seen once inadvertently. My grandpa. I swear he was magic. Could always find a front row parking spot for anywhere we went. It didn't matter if people were parking out in the grass. If he drove up to the front there was always a spot. If there wasn't then immediately someone would pull out of their spot to leave. Always. Sadly, he did not pass down this magic to anyone. This matches well with my grandma, who is absolutely 100% a FI. It doesn't matter what kind of plant it is or what weather we have. Her plants are always perfect. They bloom early and keep blooming way longer than they should. We had an ice storm this last winter that took out so many trees. Every tree around my grandma's house was damaged and had broken limbs. Not hers. Her trees were fine. What? Using your peripherals. I've become really good mine. Another answer is looking back and forth. When multiple people stare at me, I look at one person then the next and repeat until they either ask me what I'm doing or stop staring at me. Being very handy with sharp knives. Knowing how to break up a carcass in very little time and with no effort. That and a substantial knowledge of chemicals. Who thought being a farmer would give me benefits of chemical knowledge? Being able to remember lots of useless information for long periods of time. I've got a great memory when it comes to random details about people's lives. They get suspicious occasionally. Meat trimming. Being able to recite the alphabet backwards with speed. Top-notch marksmanship. Reading traffic based on sounds, sight or just the wind. I don't like the noise of the city, so I'll drown out the noise and just look straight ahead but move only my eyes. Took a while to learn, but I can walk across some of the most busy streets with just a glance at the cars. Swallowing a banana all at once. I'm very good at getting detailed information in my peripheral vision. I don't have to be looking directly at someone to study them. Makes me sound like a pervert, but it's a skill I developed because of living in situations where letting someone know you're watching them had bad consequences. But so was being ignorant of what they were doing. It's really frocking handy. Also, somewhat related, reading upside down has had its benefits. Good at finding purposely hidden items. Thanks to my parents hiding my devices as a kid. I even put them back after use. It got to the point where I had to watch out small stuff like specifically placed objects, which are essentially traps my parents put to see if I opened something up to get it. It ranged from hairpins to even clean wiped surfaces and more. Lying. Wait, no, that's wrong. The better you are, the less likely anybody notices. The problem comes up when you use your skills to help somebody out, and they later remember just how effective and seamless your cover story was. Switching language as smooth as possible. Knife tricks. Knowing the proper way to dispose of, bury a body, without it being discovered. Growing up on a ranch, you have animals die. Disposing of the carcass without attracting scavengers and predators to the ranch is a vital skill to have. I've had a few weird looks from people when watching crime shows where bodies were discovered, and pointing out what they did wrong. Along with that skill, ranching brings the ability to quickly skin, clean, quarter, and butcher a carcass. I've learned to just be quiet during those shows. Picking locks. If they get locked out of their house. Siphoning gas. Speaking French. There is always something suspicious about people who can speak French fluently. Being able to strike up a rapport with random people. After someone else sees you do it, they act weird like you're a Jedi or something. Walking quietly. I've actually learned to start dragging my feet to deliberately make noise when I get within hearing range of people so I don't startle them by coming up right behind of them out of nowhere. Counting bills. I am really good at it, and well, I've been assumed by police and some actual thugs to be a criminal, but I was just an accountant for my family's business. I once got into hydroponics. Of course none of my friends thought I was just growing kale and tomatoes. Tying knots. Either you're a Boy Scout, murderer, or kinky. Tearing boxes. I had a female coworker who knew how to tear huge boxes like it's nothing. Like in 2 seconds there is nothing left out of the box. For what time she did it, she got a lot of strange looks. Reading body language and being particularly sensitive to people. I have a friend who's so good at it, he knows what you're going to do before it ever even crosses your mind. First time he pulled the whammy on me was when I was just about to look for the remote and he handed it to me. No looking around or anything. I just shifted slightly about to get up and he goes, "Here's the remote." Seemed pretty cool at the time. But then a few weeks later we were eating out together and I couldn't decide on whether I should get dish A or dish B. He told me to get dish B even though I'd never even voiced which dishes I was deciding over. I swear he's almost physic. I can almost always tell which way is north, which means I can get to anywhere I've been once by just navigating where I think it should be. My mind has a pretty decent map. I can also count both fairly fast and pretty accurately, so maybe the measurements of travel X amount in west naturally occurs on some subconscious level. This doesn't help me too much because in horrible with names, so, "Oh, you mean that cool bar on Broadway?" means literally nothing to me until we get there and I remember I hate this place. Being able to identify every type of drug. Taking off a woman's bra. I'm a man. One-handed. Years ago in high school, college I read that you can remove a bra one-handed by putting your thumb and finger on either side of the clasp and making a snapping motion. When I had the opportunity to try it out with my girlfriend it actually worked. But then anytime I did it with someone new I'd get a raised eyebrow and the, "Done that a few times, huh? Look. Getting blood out of carpet." This will get buried, but for me it was reading. I was really fast with good comprehension starting at a very young age, and so I got a lot of doubt that I was actually understanding what I read, and every teacher would say I rushed through material. It still pisses me off that I had to constantly defend myself about it. Although my parents would always back me up, so that was good. They'd lived with the evidence long enough to know I was telling the truth. I used to own a small handmade cigarette shop 4 years ago. I basically know everything about rolling a cigar. With paper or tobacco leaves, I sometimes smoke and roll myself a cigarette. People still look suspicious at me when I roll it in under 20 seconds.